So finally, we are back. This is our fourth day, day 4, and today we'll continue the discussion on the Mitre framework. आज हम बात करने वाले हैं on the tactics lateral movement. Okay. Yeah, before guys, I will be starting and discussing about the lateral movement in the Mitre framework. Yeah, so I have something for you. If you are in the UAE or in India looking for opportunities in cybersecurity, please ping me. I can help you to know. Maybe I can help you to refer in some companies or in my company if your profile looks good and if you have experience in cybersecurity. Thank you. This was a quick update. Now I will be coming back to this Mitre framework. Let me. All right. So I hope now you can see the screen. All right. Okay, so now we will be going to talk about this lateral movement tactics. So we discussed yesterday, we are referring our Mitre framework. There are 14 tactics, 150 techniques, and I believe 270 sub techniques, right? In each technique, for example, active scanning, we have 3 sub techniques, and now today we discussed this yesterday only. We discussed, I think, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we discussed 4 sub techniques, and 4 techniques, another their corresponding sub techniques. But today we will be jumping to the lateral movement because I don't want to feel bored to be continue this discussion only for the recon. We will be moving here and there, so it will be help also you to learn something new. Yeah, every day. So now we will be discussing about the lateral movement. You know, when you are working in a cybersecurity or you're going in the interview, this is very interesting topic, the hot topic we can say. Even sometime I would say I'm asking, but yes, any interviewer would like to understand more from you. What do you know about the lateral movement? How does it work? How can you detect it? How can you prevent it, right? What do you think? Why attacker is doing this kind of attacks? Yeah. So first understand what is lateral movement. Yeah. So for example, if I'm an attacker, right? I am attacker and I'm compromised a machine in your network. But your machine, maybe you are working in the sales department. Yeah. And you don't have access to the other machines and you have already segmented, already separated by other different department through VLANs. So maybe company have put some security posture that every different department have a different VLAN, so that different devices in different teams cannot communicate. They can communicate within their VLAN only. So if I'm compromising a sales team department machine, I cannot communicate to other different machines in a different department. Understand? For example, if you're compromising a machine belongs to sales department, you cannot check the resources or you cannot do an attack on other machines which are in different department because there is already network segmentation done through the VLANs. Okay, but there are other ways attacker can use, to move here and there. If, for example, now let's example those machines are connected with the AD, right? Those machines are connected with the DHCP servers, DNS servers. Their communication established already. Yeah, or there might be possible that one machine having 2 different LAN interface or Wi-Fi interface. Yeah, maybe the user having maybe different interface that to communicate different machines, different network, the possibilities, right? Or attacker use that account of the account. For example, if I'm compromising Vikram's account, I can use Vikram's account to compromising others users account also by doing a targeted spear phishing to other users. If attacker using internal compromised account for doing a phishing attack, there's a high possibilities other users might rely and trust on that communication and can download the malware files, can open the URL, can click on it, can submit the credentials also. So now let's understand why this lateral movement is important for attacker to move out from one machine to other machines, to look out for the resources, to look out for the credentials, to look out for the files, to exfiltrate the files from one machine and then to outside. So they're looking for the other options when they can connect to this, to that, and can exfiltrate the information. Now let me just, if you have any comment guys, please feel free to let me know. I will be checking my comments also in the YouTube. Let's see if there is any comments coming so I can answer you. Please feel free to ask your doubts also at the same time. See, sorry, I was checking my mobile for the YouTube video. Let's see. YouTube video. Let's see. Okay, no comments so far. Okay. Yep. So the lateral movement, for example, now, and I'm giving a real-time example. Now let me open. Yes, I hope you can see this. All right. So for example, I'm an attacker. An attacker want to do a lateral movement. Lateral movement. Okay. Because, for example, there's a machine A, which is IP address 10.10.10.10, right? And there's a machine B with different IP address, right? For example, this is a VLAN 1, this is VLAN 2. So now as these different classes cannot communicate together, right? This is belongs to sales department and this is HR, yeah, for example. So now if attacker compromise the Vikram's account, for example, there is a second user Rajesh. I'm taking an example, yeah. So if an attacker compromise the account of Vikram, who is working in a sales team under VLAN 1, this is a network IP address assigned to this machine. So now attacker can move to the other machines connected in a same subnet. If subnet change, then attacker might not be able to communicate until there is a different router have been placed by which they can communicate together between two different network segmentation. But now if attacker want to move, so attacker will look out for the possible devices connected in the same subnet. So attacker will move from one machine to machine C, for example. That machine connected in a same subnet, for example 10.11, yeah, under VLAN 1 sales team, or I would say the name Mohan, right? So now attacker can try to move to others machine. How they can do it, right? First easy way, because if these all machines are connected in a domain network, right, then attacker can use the any accounts to log into any other machines in a network, right? If for example 3389 port is open, yeah, then attacker can do the RDP. At RDP they are adding the normal users also, then they can log into the machines. Simple. If we will follow the Mitre framework, what they have mentioned, this is what we understand from the normal perspective. If machine machine A also has another IP address 192.168.10.10, that means machine A has now two interface. That means attacker compromise the machine A, attacker can also communicate or also connect with this machine, can look for the resources, can look for the files for further tracking. VLAN 2 HR Mahesh, yeah. So attacker can move from one device to another device, yeah, to look out for the possible, to gain more information, to gather more information, how to look for the resources available on the machines, on the host, on the service, right? So now if we will refer to the Mitre, let me open it now. minimizing it. Lateral movement. So the first example, the first technique they have mentioned, exploitation of remote service. So remote service, we can say if any, they can, if example, if I am the attacker compromised my machine, then they can target the other vulnerabilities compromised, the different, for example, if machine A is compromised, then attacker can compromise the machine B connected in a same LAN network by exploiting a target, exploiting a vulnerability. If for example there's a 0-day, or if there's a known vulnerability exists on machine B and they're connected in the same domain, in the same VLAN, an attacker can exploit that remote service, to enter into the network or enter into that machine. The second case they mention about internal spear phishing, right? So attacker can use my account to send a phishing email to other users also for the same company. Maybe there are possibilities, maybe other users will trust on me and they will download the attachment, they will execute the malware. Lateral tool transfer. Once attacker compromised a machine, yeah, so attacker will try to transfer some of the tools like netcat. Yeah, netcat basically this tool which can craft network packets. They can use for exfiltration. They can use to to make port forwarding, port tunneling. We can use these such tools for performing those attacks. So they can transfer tools also for moving from one device to another device. Now, if my machines can communicate to other VLANs, attacker can use my machine, to communicate other different networks through my machine. By they can set up some tunneling, they can do port forwarding. If particular port is allowed, they can also use that port to communicate in other different VLANs, different ports also. Yeah. A remote service session hijacking. A remote service hijacking, for example, if you have already an active session, yeah, an attacker can control your machine. They can steal the session, they can hijack it, they can retrieve it. Maybe you get notification, a pop-up, but you might ignore it or to avoid it. Yes, and then attacker can also get the access. Remote services, like remote services, I would say RDP, secure shell, TFTP. Yeah, those services can be exploited. Replication through removal device. Okay, if a pen drive is infected with a malware, then attacker can use that a pen drive to spread the malware to other machines. So now attacker is moving from one machine to other machine through malware, through removal drive. Yeah. Software development tool. Attacker can use some tools which is known tools for deploying the softwares like SIEM softwares, to installing the patches. They can use those tools to separate the virus also. They can spread the virus to other connected machines in the same VLAN. Taint shared content. Okay, so for example, there are multiple users in a company. They all are connecting to a SharePoint, one drive, shared drive. So attacker can upload the virus, the malware file into some public folders. Whenever any user coming, browsing those folders, and clicking on this file, it will infecting or affecting those users also. So attacker now, the moving from one machine to another machines. So you can correlate it, right? You can now understand it. User use alternate authentication material. Let me now just click on this view technique. Okay, use alternate authentication material. For example, attacker can pass the hash, curve string, stealing tokens. Let me show you from here. If I will go here, I will click on the sub techniques. Yeah, so you will understand. So whenever a user authenticate to a operating systems, some token assigned to that account in the operating and that stored in the operating systems in the memory. Yeah, so if attacker can steal your tokens, then means attacker getting your identity, and now attacker can use that identity to move to the other machines. Pass the hash. So all the passwords stored in the hash forms, attacker can store those hashes and can move into the other machines through those hashes. Pass the ticket. Kerberos, right? In Kerberos, we get a ticket. If the ticket is in memory, attacker can steal the ticket, can again move with that ticket to the other services. Web session cookie. If you're authenticating to a web application assigning a cookie based on the authentication. If attacker can stole it, then again attacker can move it from one machine, authenticate on your behalf also to that application. So I think this is a very good way to understand about how an attacker can move laterally into the network. Let me now see the comments. If there are any comments, no comments, then good for me. I can close up the call. But if now you are going into the interview, you can understand this also. Okay, remote services, right? Like RDP, remote access protocol, SMB, SMB. So I will tell you more information. SMB is server message block, right? If I'm not wrong, yeah. Windows admin shares. In operating systems, there's always default shares which attacker can access to see what are the public shared files exist on your operating systems. And then they can also move, they can also look for those open shares to the other machines connected in a same VLAN. Yeah, they can take advantage of those shares or those files, those protocol to move from one device to another device. RDP hijacking, SSS hijacking, what other space? Yes, so this is a good example, right, guys? Okay. So now how we can, maybe questions is coming in the intro, like what we can do for detection, right? For detection perspective, now if we talk about, right? So first of all, looking for any unauthorized access, you can create, detections based on the firewall logs. If there's any firewall, if no, then you can look for the anomalous activity. Then you can look for the anomalous activity. For example, a user sending email to 500 users, 50 users, 100 users in a short span of time. You can look for this. Exploitation remote services. See, exploitation is always can be detectable through any HIPS solution if you're using in the endpoints. Otherwise, if two machines are in the same VLAN, attacker doing the exploitation, you can never come to detection. So if you are using HIPS kind of module or the endpoints detection, then you can able to detect it. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you. Otherwise, if you are any AVs have some kind of IPS module, then they can detect it. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for you to detect which IP targeting which vulnerability on the endpoints. Lateral tool transfer, look for the unauthorized tools installed, look for the transfer of utility from one device to another device. If you can see the existing of one tool and then suddenly you can see the existence of the same tool onto other 5 machines in 24 hours, then it's something really suspicious, right? A remote service session hijacking. Hijacking can be detected based on the, if for example, different machines trying to access same account. For example, if my account is compromised and I don't know, but attacker is also using other different IP to communicate to other services from different machine, then you can look for that. If same account is being used by multiple sources or authenticate based on multiple sources, you can come to know. Same for this remote services, okay, remote services also, you make sure that unauthorized services always stop on the endpoints. If there's no requirement, you should always stop it. No public share should be available for the remote users. Yeah, if ports are not required, stop it, close it, and only add the peoples which are expected to log in remotely. right? So for the remote desktop group, SMB group, secure shell groups, manage these peoples in a different group ownership. These people only can do the RDP. These people group can only do secure shell. So and also look from which source device they're doing it. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to trace it out. A replication through removable media. Don't allow any removable drive to plug into any machines. Only allow authorized users, and only once they scan it, and then they can plug into the machine. And even if you are allowing any machines to use removable drive, make sure you are putting extra control, not execute only. Maybe we can put other filter like read, write, and execution permissions. We can control this kind of the policies also on that. So for deployment tools, if some kind of pushes patches coming from approved changes, for example, if some you are seeing unauthorized changes, unauthorized patching in the network, then you can also notify your admin team to verify the activity. Taint server content, if attacker putting some malwares in a shared drive, in a one drive, that means they're putting some malware. So your AVs always should be updated with definitions, signatures, and they're looking for the files which being uploaded, created, modified, right? And if anything changed and it feels abnormal, you look for detection. Use alternate authentication material. That means kind of application token, access tokens, pass the hash, pass the ticket. Look for the tools like mimikatz. Look for the tools every different attacks have a different activity which is being logged by the Windows also. Yeah, so you can look for those specific syntax, which I'm not going in detail. As I mentioned, I will be going theoretically to make you understand how we can detect it. But Windows generate different events, right, based on the pass the hash and pass the ticket events. So if you're doing this, you can look for those specific keywords, and importantly, you can monitor the IP addresses which being used to authenticate for different users, right? If, for example, a device assigned to Vikram, but you are seeing the login activity is going for the account Mohosh or Mohan, something fishy, right? I think this is good for the information to understand. And I'm sure if you're going in the interview, if you can talk on two to three topics, techniques in the interview, then I think you can satisfy the interviewer also. They will understand that you know about it. Okay, guys. Okay. Bye. I'm now closing this video off, and will coming tomorrow with a new video. Bye bye. Thank you.